I know.
You never get used to it. So.
Never.
You never get used to it.
Not really.
Really? When you listen to it, you'll be like, what? Why did I sound like that?
Why do I sound so weird?
Yeah, how did that happen?
I just didn't,
Especially now you got a cold. Not to make you self-conscious or anything,
No,
but
I'm feeling it.
Well, here, I don't want to be too forward, but you need a seed drop?
Oh, dude, this actually is clutch.
I bet you guys lose your voice I would lose my voice doing
No, he's
this.
the worst. He actually, he has to drink lemon water or, it's bad.
Hot tea with a little brandy.
I'm a fragile little flower.
He is.
Yeah.
Fragile little flower.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's got to be Australian.
Can that be the podcast cover? Can we be associated with
Fragile Flower?
Fragile Flower.
That's the
Osprey,
in the glass.
Osprey, the fragile flower.
That's the
of
trademark name.
Your
for
dad's
this.
going to be so pissed when he hears that. He's going to be like,
Keith will be mad from that.
Possibly.
Welcome to the RNA Outdoors podcast, fueled by Ripcord Arrow Rest and First Light Hunting Apparel. At RNA, we are public land DIY conservationists that love to share our passion for the outdoors. So join us and our team as we interview professionals in the industry to share insight knowledge that helps make hunters and anglers more successful. Hey listeners, subscribers, and fellow outdoorsmen and women. This is your host, Lucas Paw, and I'm excited to tell you about some of the sponsors that continue to help make this podcast not only happen, but grow and thrive in this digital world of audio content. This podcast is brought to you by Ripcord Arrow Rest, the bow hunter's #1 fall-away rest on the market. Ripcord is known for 100% full-time arrow containment and their patented drop-dead brake system that eliminates launcher bounce back. Best of all, Ripcord is backed by their rock-solid guarantee. If the original owner has a part break for any reason, it will be repaired or replaced at no charge. And did I mention? Ripcord is located in southwest Montana, where all their products are made with pride in America. Check them out at ripcordarrowrest.com and on their social media feeds. This podcast is brought to you by First Light Clothing and Hunting Apparel. Born in the Rockies in central Idaho, First Light's mission is to create simple, yet proven, versatile gear that provides comfort and performance in any situation while working to promote the pursuit of ethical hunting and stewardship. I recently joined the First Light Pro Staff team and have continued to be impressed year after year in their innovations in engineering of merino wool fabrics. 10 years ago, they started putting out wool fabrics with camo patterns, and immediately this changed the game. Since then, they offer multiple layering systems and kits in various proprietary patterns and continue to raise the bar with their competition. Find them online at firstlight.com or under their social media feeds. Go farther, stay longer. Welcome, listeners. You are turned into the RNA Outdoors podcast. We're coming to you live from the showroom floor here in Dallas at the Safari Club. This is day 2. We're actually winding down day 2 here at the show. It's been a great couple days so far. Excited still to be here. This is actually the last day for us, right, Jason? We're going to be heading on a plane tomorrow and getting out of here.
Sorry, boys, you got to work 2 more days. We be out of here.
Yeah.
2 more long days. No,
but it's been a great show. I think when we talked to the president of DSC, we had him on the podcast. He said there's roughly around 960 exhibitors, probably looking at 70 to 80,000 people going to be coming through here through the weekend. So when you talk about having products and marketing, this is the place to be at this time of year. So speaking of that, we're here at one of the booths for Osprey Global. So we were fortunate. Last night, Jason and I were at the bar having a beer and two guys.
It was Hooters. Come on, let's be honest.
So we were at Hooters.
Back to the PG part.
And we were sitting there having a beer, and I just come back using the restroom, and two guys had sat down, and of course looked like they had been working pretty hard that day, had matching shirts, and then we started realizing we see optics and other things. We're like, hey, so we started shooting the bull with them a little bit, and just understood that they run an optic company, not only optics, but lasers, binoculars, night vision, all kinds of neat stuff. And we thought we would get both Luke and Will on the podcast today to talk a little bit about Osprey Global. So, guys, welcome to the podcast.
Cool.
Thanks,
Hey.
guys.
Yeah, my name's Will, and I'm actually the owner's son, and I'm a primary distributor for this company. And, we have a wide variety of awesome products. One of the ones that we've come out with that's kind of our bread and butter that I really like to talk about a lot. We kind of specialize in hunting scopes and also kind of black gun stuff as well. And one of the things that we're really into is our compact. And it's a really unique scope. And in my opinion, there's not really another optic on the market that you can get this quality at this price being this functional.
Okay.
Right? So this one, for instance, it's a 3 to 9 powered scope. Most 3 to 9s are kind of in a longer body, and what we've done with this scope is we've compacted it down so it can fit the AR platform.
So it's, AR rail, Picatinny rail platform.
Right. So it's nice and compact, and when you look through a lot of scopes, and you can look through any scope. We're talking about $200 all the way out to $2,000. A lot of times when you look through them, you kind of always struggle to find that sweet spot when you're looking through it. So it kind of forces you to have to get right up on the scope. And when that happens, it doesn't allow you to acquire your target super quickly. And for that reason, on the AR platform in particular, people end up going to something like a red dot or a reflex sight. So because a red dot, I can pick it up with both eyes open and immediately acquire my target. But no matter what red dot you're going to be looking at, though, all of them are really going to be geared towards the close range stuff. So for ARs, people are kind of deciding, should I go for a red dot, should I go for a scope? And a lot of people are confused about going which one. Whereas this one, we've kind of combined both of those optics into one single unit. And with that being said, basically what we've done is we've made the scope have a 3 to 10 inch eye relief.
Okay.
So what that enables you to do is have a 7-inch window where you have a full sight picture. So I can pick this scope up and keep both eyes open, and anything from 5 yards on out, it immediately comes into my sight. Like I don't have to struggle to find it; it's there. But the cool thing about this scope is it magnifies out to a 9 power. So let's say you want to reach out past 100 yards. Well, you're not just you're not limited to just that close range shot. So it kind of does everything you need for the AR platform.
So like target acquisition, it's not an issue now based on the minimum amount of eye relief. Technically, you've got a multiple range of eye relief based on the design of the scope.
Exactly.
And you showed me earlier, and it's also got lit reticle, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that was what was amazing. You were like, okay, so just hold it and basically open eye, both eyes open, throw it up, and keep your face away from it like you do a red dot. Which you said it was 7?
It's
7 to 9 inches.
Well, so the window. It's the window of eye relief, because a lot of people get confused and think, oh, it's just a long eye relief scope. Well, if it's a long eye relief scope, what that usually means is as soon as you move your head into the scope, it's going to black out. What makes this scope unique is the eye box, the window. I can be anywhere from 3 inches onto this scope, between my head and the scope, all the way out to 10 inches.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So let's say you want to extend your stock. You want to sit all the way back, and you want to keep your peripheral vision completely open. You can keep that open. So if you're scanning, you're clearing houses, you can do it perfectly with the scope.
That's cool.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I also find it ideal for hunting hogs with, like we call it the hog hunter.
Right.
And if you're hunting with, say, a green light to find your hogs, you can pull it up really fast without ever taking your eyes off the target, even if that hog's running. And you've got it there, you can lead it and you can take your shot. And that's why you can change the color from red to green to blue. You put that on red, and that's going to contrast directly with your green light, and then you can take the hog down very quickly.
I never thought about that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And as far as quality goes too, because it's not just a functional thing, but our quality for the money, in my opinion, there's great scope companies out there, great optics companies out there. I can give you a list of some awesome ones, but I truly believe that there's not a single company out there that gives you the kind of quality we offer at this price point. And this scope in particular is a 3 to 9 powered scope, and typically the kind of glass, the kind of internals you'd see in this kind of price range, you're not going to get this quality. A couple things in particular is our glass. We get our glass imported from Hoya, Japan, And like this scope in particular has 11 separate lenses, and we use the same quality glass on each and every lens. We do a double coating process all the way through that allows more light. It's got a 42 millimeter objective lens, and it's a smaller scope, but it has a 30 millimeter tube, so it brings in a whole lot of light.
A lot of light.
Yeah, that's why we talk about hunting hogs. If you're shooting, early in the morning, later in the evening, this is going to be. That's why they call it the hog hunter's dream. So it's perfect for that. And as far as like another couple things, and I always recommend doing this for people when you guys are looking at buying optics. A lot of people will look into getting like etched in and wired in reticles.
Yeah.
And a lot of scopes in this price range, vast majority are going to be wired in. And that's why a lot of people have problems at scopes in this price range. When you get a wired in reticle and the scope breaks.
Sorry, somebody wants to buy a scope and they're taking it out of our hands.
No worries.
We like it. That's what we're talking about it.
That's right. But like a lot of scopes in that price range, if they're wired in, that means when you're looking through the optic, it's just a bunch of wires in there. Meaning if you drop your weapon or anything like that, if those wires break, then your optic's done.
I've actually had that happen on a scope.
Yep.
It was years ago, but boy, when you're out hunting and all of a sudden I literally had one wire instead of two.
Oh,
and you're
wow,
where do I connect the dot?
Right. So all of ours are all laser etched in.
Okay.
And that's kind of the standard for good scopes, but that's the difference in our price range is getting that wire or getting that etched in reticle. So it's actually laser engraved into the glass. Another really cool thing that we do is the way we bond these scopes together. We do what's called a two-part epoxy. And a lot of scopes are held together with some kind of super glue variant. And super glue is fine at times, but the reason why these are 50 cal rated is a lot of times glue can become brittle and break with a lot of pressure. And we do a 3-day process, and once that epoxy sets, it ends up working more like a rubber. So it gives
a little
more
flex to it, right?
So like out of the box, these are 50 cal rated. And they come with the rings already spin centered, ready to mount, the flip up dust covers, everything ready to go. Now the rings themselves are just an aircraft aluminum, so if you want to set this on a higher caliber, you're definitely going to want to. I recommend getting steel reinforced rings or some higher end rings. But with the scope by itself out of the box, that normally is a $269 scope. At the shows, we do it for $209.
Okay.
Plus tax.
Now, one of the things you talked about on that scope as well is the adjustable turret for yardage as well.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have a couple different calibers we offer. The main one is obviously, the 223 or the 556 because majority of people that are shooting the ARs are going to that caliber. But essentially, it's there's a couple other scope companies that do them, but we normally sell them for $49.99. And they're actually elevation turrets that automatically compensate the drop of your bullet. So like this one, for instance, is for the 223. And what you want to do with the scope, you want to mount it on your gun, sight it in at 100 yards, and once it's sighted in, all you got to do is replace the elevation turret with this one right here, and you drop in. There's a little number.
0 yardage marker.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you drop in the 100-yard mark where it meets the 0. The
on
white
the scope,
right, and then you drop that in, and then from there, all you got to do is just crank it to. Let's say you want to shoot 200 or 300 yards. This goes all the way up to 500 yards.
Dial and go.
Just dial it in, and whatever you're aiming at the center of that reticle, you will guarantee hit dead center.
So for elevation, now windage is always a different game.
Yeah, windage is a different game.
At least from elevation, though, you don't have to deal with looking at mills or looking at
Still,
MOA.
you look at it from a standpoint of reasonable price points, right? You're talking 209. With that, you're talking $250, and you got a dial and run tactical scope ready to rock and roll.
I call this the hybrid. It's a hybrid scope because it does the red dot, the reflex function, but also it's a 9-powered scope. So I like it because we're all about versatility. So that's kind of our thing. And that's one of I like leveling people, and I want to let everyone know this because a lot of scope companies they have more customization options. We are a much smaller company, so if you're one of those guys that want to go get an optic that wants to get that reticle specific to your caliber, we don't have the reticle options that those companies have. We can't afford to make 20 different reticle designs and have 10 sit on the shelf. We have to constantly be moving product. But we don't spend millions of dollars in advertising. That's why people on this podcast have probably never heard of us. Sure. But we are in gun shows. We're a trade show gun show company. We sell it right in front of your face and we show it to you. And because if I put this stuff online, I mean, who wants to buy something they've never heard of? They've never even had it in front of them, you know?
Well, speaking of that, how would somebody, I mean, I'm assuming you have a website.
Yes.
Is that correct? So if somebody wanted to, and I'm just thinking, somebody's thinking, oh man, I'm going to go to a gun show, maybe going to see, but I want to do a little research. I want to look at you. Where would they find you?
Okay, ospreyscopes.com. That is going to have all the information on the scopes, and then they don't sell directly from the website, but I'm a distributor, and my website is called bluegrassoptics.com, and I sell some of the main things that we sell are kind of our hot sellers. The kind of the other things you sell, you kind of got to go to the trade shows to purchase them. But we're at almost 40 gun shows every single weekend.
Wow,
that's awesome.
We don't do a lot of wholesale stuff, and we've kind of decided we're not going to go that route because we have so many people that work for us that that's kind of their job, and we kind of have a tight family here with Osprey, and as soon as you go to wholesale, then the price is going to jump up because you're going to talk about multiple levels of distribution.
Well, and that was one thing that we had talked about last night. Lucas here and Luke there. And he was saying, "Hey, look, this is a family operation. I mean, if they did that, basically there'd be 30-plus families that'd be out of a job.
Oh, they'd be all out of a job.
They'd all have no way of income. And you mentioned earlier, well, my dad could sell this company, and he'd make a bunch of money and retire, and everybody else would make it. But that's not what you're about.
No.
Your dad's about family and trying to keep everything together, and it's also something that he's built. So I admire that. I mean, I think that's super awesome, and especially when you said you go to a lot of the gun shows. Do you focus, are you regional? Are you across the United States?
We're throughout the entire United States. Basically, if there's a viable gun show, we are most likely going to be at it. Or even like an outdoor show like this, we're going to be at it. And that's just because, I mean, and that's the way to really, like, the word of mouth is kind of the biggest thing. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like, I'll sell one of our hunting scopes, and then someone will walk by and like, at the show and be like, I bought 3 of those, and, like, they just pull out their phones and show me their kills.
That's
like,
cool.
This is I can't believe you guys are selling it at this price.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of it. And, like, it's really cool because we're coming out with new stuff all the time. And that's the only way to, stay on you got to be on the cutting edge.
You got to stay ahead of your competition.
You are left in the dust within 6 months in this business.
Sure.
So
now look, Luke he took one gun away, but he brought you another one. And this is one that was kind of interesting to me. And you were talking about it earlier. Why don't you tell us what you've got there?
This is the scope that I personally hunt with. I like it because, same thing, it goes back to the versatility thing. This can really do anything you need for any kind of hunt. It is first off, it's a 4-16 power, and I'm going to go back to the whole thing with the eye relief on this because, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but when you're hunting, I want to be able to pick it up with both eyes open and shoot. And the problem you're going to get with a really wide magnification scope is you're going to have smaller spaces between your focal points between the lenses, meaning your eye relief is going to be really small. And I'm sure you guys have seen, if you guys have ever looked through a big long range scope like a 10 to 40, and you look at 1 to 6, you notice how that 1 to 6 has a lot more playing room.
Yeah.
So like with this 4 to 16 here, normally you're going to have a tighter eye relief. This one has a 2 to 6.5 inch eye relief.
I mean, I shoot a lot of long range stuff, and then I do a lot of heads up action pistol stuff, and I understand exactly. For those that don't understand it, when you pick up an old scope and then you put your eye in it, you have to get your eye so close to where you get a full view. And as soon as you move your eye back a half inch, you're going to see part of a black ring. So what he's talking about right now is you can put your eye at the 2-inch mark, or you can pull your eye all the way as 5 inches back. And the goofy thing is, I have a brother-in-law that's 6'5". Whenever he grabs my gun, he can't see anything.
Right.
Yet I'm 5'8", and it fits me perfectly. So in a situation with, you might have a son or a daughter, this variance could be a very strong seller to be able to everybody shoot the same scope.
Exactly. It's you know how many people that have come up to me and they're like, I have astigmatism, I can't look through scopes, and I'm like, you're my perfect client, because it's so funny because they pick it up and normally they have to find that sweet spot and they can't see it, but because of the
came by to pick that stuff up.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Go
Sweet.
ahead. Your scope's right there.
See, he's selling stuff right now, and we got buyers coming to get their goods.
Yeah, cool. Enjoy, man. So with this one, I basically, I can pretty much be right up on the scope, and I can sit back. And the reason I like that for hunting is because I really want to keep my peripheral vision open. I want to be able to pick this up and not have to. I don't want to have to take any time to be able to acquire my target. I want to pick it up and it's there.
What's the other? We talked about this option right here.
Oh yeah, this is also obviously a lighter reticle, obviously etched in, but these illuminate in blue, red, and green. And you'll see red and green a lot, but one of the things I love about it is the blue illumination. And one of the reasons I like that is because it's better for low light situations.
Okay. And having the big objective on there also helps pull light
That's
in too.
a 50.
Oh yes, it's a 56. Sorry.
Holy cow!
So this is
it's a beast.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't mention that. This is the scope itself. The specs on it has a 56 millimeter objective lens, a 30 millimeter tube, 17 separate lenses. We use that same Japanese Hoya photography grade lenses all the way through, and we double coat that glass on both sides, so it's a low light animal. Like this thing can. I mean, I can pull this out at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I can still shoot with it. It's it's the glass and the way it's built.
That's awesome.
But what I was going back to with the blue here, let's say if the red and green can be at times very bright colors. And I'm sure if
red
you guys,
especially,
right at night, like if it's about to be nighttime and really low light, they can kind of over illuminate your target, right? So the blue is more in the, it's a much lighter color. It doesn't over illuminate. And there's 3 different brightness settings. So really the only time I use the illumination is if it's a low light and I'm using blue. I'm using on the lowest setting, and it's really gonna just kind of light up my reticle enough to where I can see exactly the center of that reticle there. The reticle itself is a half mil, full mil reticle design too. So they're based in Milrads, and these are second focal plane scopes for you guys wanting to know, and meaning that you have to be at a specific magnification for those to be true. Okay. Ours are true at 10 power. All of our scopes, if it's a 3 to 9, it's the highest magnification, but all of our second focal plane scopes, if they go to 10 or more, is going to be at 10 power. That's just because of the military. That's what they learned how to shoot with is 10 power. Yeah. And it's what that means is the distance between the dots are when you're looking through the reticle are true at 10 power. With the mil radians, Milrads are based in 3.6 inches, and this is a half mil, so it's the first line is going to be 1.8 inches. So it's a very precise reticle.
Yeah. For a lot of guys that are just starting out or just listening to this that don't necessarily gather that, you could always look up. Minute of angle and that kind of stuff so they could understand. But under most circumstances, really what you're saying is the preciseness starts at 10 powered and runs to the max.
Right. And then that's what I really like about this too is the turrets on these. I call them dual functional turrets because what you're going to get on turrets, and what I mean by turrets are the elevation and windage adjustments. You're either normally going to get a hunter style turret, which are the cap turrets. So if you're hunting, you drop your scope.
They're protected.
Right, they're protected. It doesn't move them at all. But a lot of times when they're hunter's turrets, when you open up the cap, it's a flat down turret to where you can't see. Like if you're looking through the scope and you look up, you can't see where you're at.
You can't adjust it. Yeah.
You can't see where you're at in your adjustments. You have to actually look on a bird's eye view of the elevation turret to adjust it. So with this, I mean, I have the tactical. It's both a cap turret for hunters, but when you take off the cap, it's actually a tactical turret as well. And these are.
I like that. This was something we talked about earlier. So
right.
I wish people could actually see what Will was doing, and he's going to go into a little bit more detail, and you'll have to look it up in order to understand it. But go ahead and explain the final steps here.
Yeah. So it's a reset to zero turret. So I see the tactical lines here, and let's say I want to sight my gun in at 200 yards. Well, if I know that this is zeroed at 200, I can actually pick this up and then put it right back at zero without adjusting my elevation. So now, say if somebody comes by and just does that, I know, okay, it doesn't matter. I can just put it back at zero. I know my scope.
And when he says does that, guys, what he did is he just spun the dial, and it literally would have, under normal circumstances, if you were out hunting and somebody jacked with your dial, you'd all of a sudden be shooting 17 inches to the left or whatever. What he's doing is by doing that, you could literally always look down and go, okay, as long as it's at zero, I know that's a guaranteed sight in at whatever your sight in distance, where if you were sighting it at 100 yards, you know it's perfect at 100 yards.
Right.
And the nice thing about that too, from my standpoint, is if you're a click guy, so in other words, if you're shooting at 100 yards, but 17 clicks puts me zero at 300 yards, you can go ahead and run it up the 17 clicks, shoot your 300 yard target, and then as soon as you're done, you could look down and go, oh, I just spin it right back to zero. I don't have to go 1, 2, 3. Did I count 3? Oh, that was 4, wasn't it 5?
Go back.
So it's really a neat thing.
Kind of zeroes it back down. That is really neat.
Mm-hmm. And the with the scope, same thing. It comes with, these are actually triple studded rings. They're just a 2000 series aircraft aluminum, so they're not steel, but they come with the aircraft aluminum rings to mount, and they'll mount to a standard Picatinny or Weaver base, and they also come with the flip up dust caps as well.
That's a nice addition.
Normally, the retail price in this you're looking at $529. With show special, we're doing it for $479 at the show. This weekend.
Just a comparative. People can't see it, but if we're talking something comparative, Vortex, what are you going to pay for a scope like that?
You're going to be paying well over $1,500 to get something like this. But what I will say with a scope like Vortex, and like Vortex, awesome company. Like they're all these companies that I can mention a bunch of them. They're great.
Sure.
But what they can do a lot of customization options that, like I said, that we can't do. But you'd be spending. So that's why I say if you're not a guy, if you want something that you can pick up and use quick, and you're not looking for a scope that has a reticle that's specific to your caliber, this is the one. I think
cool.
we have the. I know I'm biased, obviously, but I think we by far have the best return on your investment of what you spend out of an optic.
Yeah. One thing that I think that's cool, but I noticed one of the things that's kind of stashed down at the end. You've actually got binos.
Yeah, and we're running low right now. That's why.
It was just a side,
That's a good thing then.
It's
that
a
means
good
you're
thing.
selling them.
It's just we're bummed out we couldn't get more. We're waiting for another shipment to come in next week. But our binos, we use a BK4 refractors on them, so they're really high end refractor. Most of them in this price range are going to use some kind of BK7 refractor, and the glass we use in those two is the same thing. It's those Japanese Hoya lenses I was telling you about. We argon fill them and oxygen purge it, so it's all weatherproof, waterproof, fogproof. They're awesome.
What powers do you guys offer in those binoculars?
We're about to come out with a 10 to 50 finally. Been waiting for that for a while. And they're going to be green too, by the way. They're sick.
Thanks, Will.
Oh, I don't know.
Surprise!
We got 10 by 42s, 10 by 26, and 8 by 34s. Your traditional hunting style. They're really. Again, like everything we do, you pull them up really, really fast. They're really quick to focus in and quick to adjust your aperture on. There's no vignetting. So they're just awesome. Again, dollar for dollar. I've compared them to really high quality stuff and really high dollar stuff, and I can't tell the difference. I had to research it to figure out what the difference was.
I will say, if you're looking for a pair of Swarovskis, that's when you're looking through crystals. That's those. But
there's no doubt.
They're talking about $2,000.
But we're talking price points, and those also have a micro adjust. If I recall, you were showing that you can actually kind of adjust micro adjust focus.
Right, and then you can you control the depth of what you're looking at with the middle focus ring.
And just give me a ballpark. What's high and what's low in regards to MSRP on those?
So the MSRP on our high dollar ones is $229, and we sell them for $170 at the show.
So in other words, he's snickering over here like, okay, high, low, $2,000 versus $179.
The big booth in the middle there. Yeah,
right.
We can't.
We can't compete with that one.
No, but I look through I won't mention a bunch of names, but like I've seen $500 pairs that I will put ours up against any day.
I had a guy come up I was at a show last week. He came up with a $1,500 scope, and he compared it directly to ours. And when he left, he was basically saying he was going to go ask the other guys for a refund, and that happens quite regularly.
It does. I feel bad when that happens. But,
I do, and I never encourage them to get a refund because I don't like it when it happens to us. But it literally they're blown away, and they see the price tag, and they don't expect it to be as high quality. That's the number one. I don't know if I missed it, but that's the number one question we're getting here: is why is our stuff so cheap compared to the other stuff they see? And I'm sure you've gone through all that with them.
Bang for the buck, baby. Bang for the buck.
So one of the cool things we had seen as well was this little rangefinder adapter that you guys have, kind of a real-time rangefinder.
Just got it.
Okay, I know we're putting you on the spot, but this is a good opportunity to maybe talk a little bit about it.
Let's pressure Will. Okay, Will, what did you learn in the last 35 minutes since I asked you about that product?
Never mind. I probably should have been doing more research, huh?
Luke, bail him out of this one. Okay, so here we go.
Hi guys, I'm Luke. I run Texas for this guy. I just want to make one statement, is that he said that he was the owner's son when he first came out, and I keep telling him that that's not actually a job description. But with the rangefinder, we've literally just gotten them very recently, and I didn't know what to expect because we've never gone into that world yet. And they're so simple. Like, you don't need the instruction manual. You can pick it up, you hit the button on it, and you can change it with the push of a button from meters to yards or to fog. And as you angle it up or down, it gives you your trajectory. your positive or negative trajectory
Which
in your
I thought
angles.
that was just cooler than cool. I'm a
cool.
geek. I admit
Yeah.
it. You know.
It's all weapons mountable. That's the cool thing. So
Exactly.
you literally mount it right on your weapon, like a standard Picatinny or Weaver base. And the coolest thing about it has a pressure switch, and it gives you a live feed. So most rangefinders, you got to individually press the button. That one, I can pick it up on my gun, and I can point at anything and literally spin it around the room, and it'll give me
Watch the yardages changing as you go.
Right. It's all live feed, and you can press the trigger switch to change it. It goes out to 700 meters, and it gives you the angle, everything.
So on the angle part of it, we were just talking about, Luke, maybe you can explain a little more, but in terms of the angle, as you start to cant the actual rangefinder, you can start to see the degrees changing. So essentially, is it giving you just a readout of the actual degree then? In
Exactly.
the angle?
It's giving you a readout from what, like, if you've mounted that to your weapon. So it's not going to give you that accurate one if you're hand holding it, which a lot of people do. But if you mount it to your weapon, it's going to give. Or a lot of people do that to their bows, and because it's very important to know your trajectories when you're bow hunting.
Sure, especially out of a tree stand and stuff like that.
Exactly, because that's going to change if you're shooting down on something to across, and if you dope that in, it's one of the most integral parts of having a rangefinder. It's the cherry on the cake.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
So how would that mount to a bow? That's what I'm wondering.
Okay, so I'm not a bow hunter, if you haven't just discovered that yet. But a lot, like we've been told by our friends and other people who've used it, they've used it with their bow.
Okay, so in conjunction with it. It's not necessarily mounted on it.
Not necessarily, no. Like you're going to mount that on a 45-degree offset on your AR or your hunting weapon. But as a bow comes, like I've never done that. I've just heard good feedback from it.
Gotcha.
That's cool. That's
neat. Well, what else you guys
Sweet.
got? Anything else here you guys want to talk about in terms of your product lines or anything that maybe we didn't touch on? I know there's a lot of different product lines that you guys offer.
I mean, we could spend all day talking.
yeah.
I mean, they got 50 different things here, but really, I think those are pretty.
I think the two optics I mentioned, if you guys never heard of us, I really think that those are the two things that you guys should really look into. They're my two favorite things. And I think, and I go back to the versatility thing. You can use this for target shooting. You can use it for hunting. It has the dual functional turrets. I mean, it's and for the money, I think it's the best. For those listening, it's the Elite Series 4-16 by 56, and that is the hunting scope I recommend that can also target shoot. And the AR scope I was telling everyone about, it's our compact 3-9 by 42. Those are the two main products. Because like I said, we have over 100 different products. So I go over lasers.
And I've seen them beaten up. I've seen them thrown off the
I
side
watched
of a
you
range
earlier
truck.
when you took
Banging
one of
one
the
against
scope
the box.
and banged it on the
If
table,
Keith
and the
is
guy
listening, I never did this.
Yeah.
I never did this.
and the guy that was standing there was like, "Whoa, I
That
would
was the
never
other
do that
guy's
to my
scope,
scope.
wasn't it,
I would
across
never
the way?
do that to
Right.
my scope."
No, well, this is hopefully Keith's listening to this, but Keith, the owner, he once took a compact, and the guy goes, "Hey, these things hold up," and he looks at him, and he's on a concrete floor. He just rolls it. He just tosses it. The concrete floor, walks over, picks it up, and hands it to him, and like nothing was wrong with it.
Yep.
I'm like,
They're
what?
tough.
I'm like, what if it would have hit something and broke off? It would have probably looked pretty stupid then, but but it was it ended up working out.
Part of these is testing them and in the field, and that's
Right.
where the truth really sits in these is when you're out in the field and you fall, you end up sliding down a hill and you bang these things.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been there. We've all done it.
Yep.
You want them to still be reliable, right?
Right.
Especially when you're under the trigger and you got the crosshairs on. So
You think they're trying to tell us something? They're turning the lights off.
I don't know if they are or not, but maybe that's a sign.
I think that might be a sign. But no, the cool thing about us too, it feels like we're getting. I mean, I don't know if from your standpoint, but I feel like every year our stuff we get better and better.
Mm-hmm.
It's the small things that get better, like the boxes we get them in just are a little bit nicer, and I mean, it's just you've seen improvement literally every year, and I love it.
And I think part of in your guys' business, I mean, you look around here and there's so much competition. There's so many companies here. I mean, we see obviously the big name companies, but there's so many other companies like you guys that you're competing against. And if you're not coming out with the next cool thing or gadget or whiz bang idea, they're going to do it, right? They're going to market it, and so you're always having to compete and always having to try to keep a competitive advantage against those competitors.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
OspreyScopes.com.
Yeah.
Or
check us out.
P.S. Come to a show so I can
Yeah.
sell you something.
That's it.
Yeah, I always recommend going to the show too, guys, because like
Show deals.
well, not only that, but like a lot of people, what ends up happening online is that somebody says, "Oh, you should get that scope," and many times they'll buy the scope and they realize it's not for them at all. But they'd heard it, like they read it somewhere, they should get it. But you got to get your hands on these things. You got to feel them. Someone needs to explain it to you, and that's what I love about us being at these shows is, like, you come up to me and you tell me exactly what caliber you're shooting, what are you trying to do with it? Let me narrow it down for you, what's going to be best for you.
Sure.
And I have to admit, I knew you were nervous about this podcast. I could tell you kind of avoiding us and me, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you're very passionate about this.
Yeah.
And I could tell that you really understand your product. And I like seeing that. I really do. I like seeing you sell to somebody else. It's the passion does come out. And when you listen to this podcast back, you'll be like, oh my God, I sounded horrible.
I actually didn't
How
sound
come
that bad at all.
I think I got maybe too into the technical part of it and maybe bored the listeners a little bit.
No,
but
I don't
I'm sorry
think you
if
did
I
at
did.
all.
And
No.
somebody that doesn't know a lot about optics might not have understood everything. But I was just trying to show that they're like when you buy these scopes, you get a really good bang for your buck, and they can do so many different things.
Yeah.
And I'm making a wild guess that if they buy something from you and they want to talk to you, they'd be able to get a hold of you so you
Absolutely.
can explain it, walk them through it.
I think that's one great thing is every single person that I know in this company knows the scopes backwards. They know what's going to do it, and every single person walks away with the rep's personal number and the personal email.
Excellent.
So
I think that's so important. I mean, in today's business, it's about customer service. It's about reputation, and you want all that on your side, right? I mean, when you're trying to sell a product where people can go on YouTube now for, like anything, and they can see how something works. So some people learn visually. Some people learn three-dimensionally. Some people just want to stand there with you and say, how does this thing work, right? Show me how it works, right? I don't read directions. I need you to show me how that happens. So
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been great. It's been great, meeting you. I'm glad we were able to get you guys on and talk a little bit about what you guys are doing. I think it's quite interesting based on the price points, the products that you guys are putting out. Binoculars always kind of attract me because I'm kind of an optics guy when it comes to binoculars. So I'm always looking for another, option when in that space. So I think this stuff is pretty remarkable in terms of what you get for the price, per dollar.
Cool.
So.
Cool, yeah.
Good.
Really enjoyed this. Thanks for having me on. I really
Now
appreciate
listen, I know you're going to compare yourself to Joe Rogan and make sure that you sound.
Yeah, no way. Can't.
nailed it. Well, nailed it.
We'll tag Joe, and maybe he'll be like, "Hey,
Joe,
what's
if
this
you're
Osprey
if you're
Global?"
listening, Will
Big
maybe
fan.
has a bromance going on.
Yeah.
He's like, come on.
I do have a
Definitely.
cocktail of Onnit supplements on my table. I may or may not.
Yeah.
But
That's keeping him going.
yeah.
Joe, if you want to test out a product, just call
Give me
the
a call,
Will,
man.
and he will
I'll get
hook you up.
I'll get
Swap
you
you
hooked up.
for
and everything.
swap you for supplements. No drama.
Yeah, no. I'll trade you with Onnit
Forget the
supplements.
podcast.
For those that don't know, Joe Rogan owns a really good supplement company. A really good supplement company. So
Which
We'll
he
plug Joe.
pounded just before we got onto this.
Oh yeah,
So-
I took Alpha Brain. And I still think it didn't help very much just because I was so nervous.
But you guys did well. Anyway,
Fantastic.
Good luck the rest of this trade show for you guys, and we wish you guys luck, in the
Cool.
future with the company. And
Awesome.
maybe down the road we'll catch up again and maybe do this again.
Yeah,
Right.
great.
Awesome.
Sweet. Take
All
care,
right,
guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks
Thanks
for
a lot.
getting on. Hey everyone, this is Lucas Paw, host of the RNA Outdoors podcast. Please check out Podbean and iTunes. If you have an iPhone or iPad, go to the podcast app on your device, search for RNA Outdoors, and hit the purple subscribe button. When doing this, it will automatically upload when new podcasts are loaded, and they will download into your queue. For Android users, you can access the podcast through Podbean, Stitcher, or use our website, www.rnaoutdoors.com/podcast. In addition, under the RNA Outdoors podcast channel, please leave a review and a 5-star rating. These reviews help boost our popularity and outreach. You can also follow us on our social media outlets, Twitter at RNA Outdoors, Facebook, RNA Outdoors, and Instagram, Rod and Arrow Outdoors. All links are in the show notes as well. If you like what you've heard, we hope you'll pass along our channel to your friends and colleagues. Keep up the good fight. We cannot sit by and watch the public lands devoted to wildlife protection wither away. There's simply too much at stake. Make your voice heard, speak up, and get involved with conservation efforts, and know that every little bit helps. As we say on the mountain, go farther, stay longer.